Hey everybody, welcome back live at Drew's House Joppa Afternoon Drive. Hope you are all doing well. It is a beautiful day here in Newburyport. Hope you're all doing great here. End of spring, beginning of summer, and I hope you all have a great summer. Thanks for joining us here again. A very special guest today. It's going to be another music show and some great talk with the one and only Livingston. Taylor is in the house. How are you, sir?
So good to be here. Thank you, Drew. Pleasure to... Newburyport, by the way, is my mother was raised across the river on Rings Island.
Okay, and you Newburyport High, right? Or is that your
my
grandmother?
mother went to Newburyport High School, and this is a storied location for me. I've been coming here literally. I'm 73, and I've been coming here all my life, and I know it well. And it just it's really, I just forget what a wonderful community it is. So delighted to be back.
It is gracious of you to do this because you actually flew into Plum Island today. I grabbed you at the airport, which is just fascinating. I've never done that before for a show. So
going? Well, I was on Martha's Vineyard, and I'm a pilot, and I have a for those your listeners who are airplane aficionados. I own a Cessna 206.
Yeah.
It's a 6-passenger fixed gear heavy hauler, and I've had it for 30 plus years, and I have 5,500 hours in that plane.
Wow.
And so I fly a lot.
You got a tailwind, you said.
I had a little tailwind coming off the vineyard.
Yep.
Unexpected. But,
very smooth landing. I like it. It was beautiful coming in.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know how hot I was, or meaning how fast. I sort of know how fast I'm going, but what I do is I put it into an aggressive slip, which essentially turns the side of the airplane into the wind, and that lowers its speed quickly, and then you drop it down on the runway. So.
Do you? I have to stay with the airplane thing for 1 second because I find it very fascinating. Yeah. It's one of those things that I have a little bit of a fear of, but I'm so envious of. I just think it's the coolest thing to be able to get in fly an airplane by yourself.
It's stunning. Being able to fly, and in the United States, what's particularly amazing is the FAA, in their charter, they are to encourage aviation. And so, was it yesterday or day before? Who can remember? Day before, I was coming up from New Jersey on Sunday morning. It was Sunday morning, day before yesterday. And I requested something called the VFR, Visual Flight Rules Corridor. They will let you legally fly at 1,300 feet up the Hudson River. Now, I was speaking with people, but legally you don't even have to speak with anybody. Oh. You can just fly your own plane up the Hudson if you stay below 1,300 feet.
That is amazing.
It is, with the entirety of New York rising above you on this beautiful Sunday morning.
Man.
It is truly magical.
I was just thinking, on the Sully Sullenberger flight, they must have told all those small planes, please get out of the area, right?
Well, no, they wouldn't have. It wouldn't have been necessary. There just wouldn't be enough for that to be a problem.
Okay.
He was not in the air very long. He wasn't very high, and as he will tell you, and he's told me, I've had dinner with him. A few years ago, and Captain Sullenberger understands how unbelievably lucky he was to be on a calm day, coming into the wind, have a calm Hudson, and have a crew with him who were really on their game as well.
So great piloting, but also a little luck involved.
Let's make no mistake. Luck, hard work, and good fortune are need to live together.
Understood. And have you ever had has there ever been a close call up there?
Yeah, I've lost an engine before. This was when early in my flying, I just bought this plane, and I was flying from Boston to Mattituck, Long Island, and I was at 6,500 feet, and I broke a valve. And the engine was still going around, but it was running very roughly. And so I informed a controller that I was coming out of the sky right now. And the controller said, "Do you have an airport at your 9 o'clock?" And I did, and it was Groton, and landed to the northwest in Groton. Was able to taxi off the runway with a badly running motor, and put another motor in my airplane, paid that bill, shocked my wife of the time with the ferocity of that bill, and then paid it. But yes, airplanes behave to laws of physics that are not breakable. And the safety of airplanes, not necessarily what I fly and what I do. General aviation is not that safe in comparison with commercial aviation. It's unbelievable. There were between 2009 and 2018, 9 years, there were 90, spelled 90 million flights without a fatality in commercial aviation in the United States.
You compare that to the roads. And...
Oh, well, just compare it. Compare it to sitting on your couch and eating a to-go meal from Burger King. You know, that is, your chances of choking are vastly higher. So it's stunningly safe. Are we ready to get off aviation? Because I will talk about flying.
I was going to say, people,
I bet your listeners are going, "Drew, don't do this to me."
They know me too well. I tend to get off track, which I like. It's kind of the point of this show. But Livingston Taylor, nice enough to join us. I bet you didn't see the beginning of the show going that way. What is the secret? 73, you look amazing. Is it probably not too many Burger King meals, I imagine?
Well, one of the things that's interesting is your listeners who are in my age category understand. With an 18-year-old, you can dump a bucket of cold water on their face and tell them to snap to, and they can. For me, at 73, when somebody says they look good for their age, or you look good for your age, and I say how and I say when. And you're right. I feel good. I've got energy. I've got lots of those things. But I'm also at an age where I can say how and when.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it allows you to choose the better spots.
Understood. All right. Very good. Well, you are a busy man. You are on stage quite a bit. You're going to be on stage at the City Winery in Boston.
Yeah, I sure am.
Friday night show, the 28th. It's going to be a 7:30 start. I know you're very familiar with playing Boston, obviously. So many people around here have seen you dozens and dozens of times.
Well, this City Winery is a franchise throughout the country. And they do a wonderful job for not only their audience, but for the players. For guys like me. So they know what I need when I get there. And so by the time I get on stage, I've been dealing with competent people who know the difference between their butt and a tea bag. And so I'm around professionals all the time, and it really makes for a great place to see a show.
I imagine when you've played as many shows as you have, you probably want to go back to those venues, right? You probably don't want to show up. I mean, I'm sure you like playing new places too, but it's probably a little bit hard when you show up to a new place and it's just, oh boy, we got some issues here.
Oh, you walk in, I show up early, and you're just going to be, you're dealing with, occasionally you're dealing with pros, and even if they're pros, there's a lack of familiarity.
Okay.
No city winery covers all bases for both performer and audience.
What is your favorite venue to play of all time?
The City Winery in Boston. Let me be clear as a bell. If I'm promoting a date on your airwaves, I'm going to promote that date. And indeed, whenever anybody asks me what my favorite place to play is, I always say where I am. And the reason why is they really don't want to know your favorite place to play. What they want to know is how they rank. Let's make them number one. What's the problem? What's the difficulty with that kindness? And the answer is that there isn't. And as I'm also fond of saying, never go on a date with one person and talk about another person.
That is outstanding advice.
City winery.
Yes. That's a wise one for the kids. There you go.
That's right. You young budding performers out there, take note.
Oh, Livingston Taylor joining us here. Talk to me a little bit about Broken, because this is quite a project here. It touches some very serious issues and a little bit groundbreaking here. And
Broken, it's a documentary about the child welfare system, foster housing, foster parents, the associated problems with this. I want to be clear as a bell on my attitude about these very difficult social problems, a child welfare. It is really easy for people to sit in a safe space and complain about the people who are actually doing the job when they are not willing to do the job themselves. So I want you to understand that in all of this, my support for the people who are on the ground, for the foster parents, for the vast quantity that are there and good and doing their work, hard work, short pay. So let's be clear that what the focus is on finding ways of making things better. And that's what this documentary is about. And so broken is perhaps a little harsher term than I would have used, but you need to call things that attract attention, and I understand that.
Sure.
But let's figure out how to, for the money we're spending, there are 39,000 children and young adults in the system. They've got a 1.4 billion, that's billion with a B, budget, and there are 4,200 social workers. And I am here to tell you that out of that 4,200, make no mistake, the vast percentage are conscientious, hardworking, and real heroes. So let's figure out the things we need to do to make them more effective at their work and honor them to the place they need to be honored.
In this documentary, it goes into the juvenile court system too, and it dives into pretty much everything that surrounds the whole problem. So it really is a deep dive, and I know.
But yes, this it's in support of this documentary that our city winery show is unfolding.
What you've always had my whole lifetime certainly, and even for your whole career, you've had this. People look at you and they say there's a realness to you. When you said that just about wanting to know the people on the ground, what do they do? Like that's what you want to get in touch with. I wonder when did that become important to you to really? Because I mean, you play music, and it's easy to when you play sold out shows and to kind of go on and tour the country and live a very peaceful life and do whatever you want, fly your plane from city to city. But what do you think brings you back to those hard issues that trouble this country?
Well, I love problems. No,
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
serious.
No, I know you are.
I love problems. I love thorny problems. I look at global warming, and doubtless is the result of increasing the quantity of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere from what was 129 parts per million at the turn of the century, 1900, to 295, 300 parts per million to now over 400 parts per million. When I say parts per million, 400 parts per million is a tiny percentage. So let's get straight there. But clearly burning hydrocarbons is a crummy idea. So now, what are we going to use for a solution? Because you have got on this planet 8 billion people, and when we started using aggressively hydrocarbons in 1800, there was 1 billion people. There were 1 billion people on the planet, and using hydrocarbons, which, by the way, were there only because they weren't being used by any other life form. And so that's why they were in the ground for hundreds of millions of years, waiting for us, Homo sapiens, who are the only species who actually play with fire. When somebody asks, why are human beings the way they are? I go, because they play with fire. We're the only life form that plays with fire. The only one that takes it with them. How unbelievable. Anyhow, we take this fire with us, and then we really learn how to use it. And so I am questioning and cynical about going and taking the photons that are coming from the sun that are presently being used by the existing biome, and we need that biome. And I'm not sure we have the right to take their photons to replace energy that the rest of the biome was not using. And so this is how my brain works. And so what I realized 4 years ago, or 5 years ago, that I really didn't understand, for instance, anything about nuclear fission, the fissioning of uranium-235. And so I just started studying it. I'm curious about whether fissioning uranium is a reasonable substitute in terms of boiling water, a reasonable substitute for coal. I have my own thoughts about it, but nothing worth that's knowledgeable enough to express in particular public.
I just had a thought. There are a lot of climate deniers out there, and I would think it must be quite a scene to see when somebody brings that to you.
What?
No.
Again. Whoa. Wait a second, Drew. Listen, I don't know. Maybe the climate deniers are right. I'm not going to tell somebody that they're wrong, because intelligence. Let's be clear about what intelligence is. Intelligence is pattern recognition. And the reason why older people are viewed as being a little more intelligent is they have more experience recognizing patterns, recognizing trends, being less panicked. So if a climate denier, I don't know that they're wrong. From the patterns that I've observed and from the information that I've got from other observers, not people who are brighter than me or smarter, no, just fellow observers on the journey.
Sure.
Said another way, God, are human beings dumb. But pattern recognition is how we stay alive.
Yeah.
And so it seems that we're going to have to burn fewer hydrocarbons. A hydrocarbon, hydrogen and carbon, means that you're combining and making water vapor, carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide seems to be a greenhouse gas, and it seems like a good idea to burn less of this. That doesn't seem a particularly far stretch. So no, I don't have trouble with people's religious beliefs.
Yeah.
But be very careful about calling a truth, proclaiming you know the truth, when what you're actually spouting is religious dogma.
Yeah.
And in terms of global warming, I believe it to be a truth. That notwithstanding, if somebody pushes me on it, I can only say, to the information I have to date. I haven't done the research personally.
I think that's a good ground to stand on, yes.
And because what we want is a discussion. We don't want to be fearful that our tribal stance is being attacked. Now that puts us in danger of losing tribal standing, and that's very, very serious. Don't do that to other human beings.
Don't do
You're going to, thems are fighting words.
Livingston Taylor in the house here, live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Thanks for joining us on a beautiful day here in Newburyport. You got a guitar.
Yeah, I got a guitar. I can play it. We were, by the way, when we spoke, this was supposed to be played long before now.
Hey, sometimes it happens. We get talking.
That's right.
Which I like.
So listen to these tones.
That's beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful. They are predictable. They are familiar. Remember, you don't want to do something new artistically, because if you do something new, they will either put you in a mental hospital or jail. What people aren't looking for new, what they're looking for is the familiar in an unexpected place. So we got this. First it was familiar but unexpected. Now you're used to it. And I can add more because you're used to this pattern recognition now. Now we start the story. Let's go fly. I've learned how. Stick out your arms, run real fast. Pick up your feet and wow. We're headed for the blue, but things get clear. And that special place we tried to find is somehow oh so near. What a way to be with you, hand in hand above the clouds. I have loved you quite forever. Now I'm singing it right out loud. What a kick to open our eyes and watch the world go drifting on. Slap my seat, wiggle my feet. With you I oh, your touch is magic. Oh, your voice is music. Your easy smile reminds me I'm okay. And your eyes are clear and bright, filled with joy and light. And I cannot wait to know where our love will go today. outer space, oh, that'll be fine. We'll kick it right up to the speed of light and drift back to the time before we met. Before I knew that someday I'd see you smile and my life would all be new. Weightless when I'm in your orbit, gravity when you are near. I have loved you quite forever. Should I tell NASA that you're here? Voyager took a left at Pluto into the dark of the great beyond. Tag along and find new stars. Darling, where you are, I belong.
Livingston Taylor, beautiful.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Oh man.
Yeah. So I'll be writing these lyrics. So
Yeah.
I'm writing weightless when I'm in your orbit.
Yeah.
Gravity when you are near.
Do you-
I have loved you quite forever. Should I tell NASA that you're here? Do I have a civic responsibility at this point? And then the idea of Jupiter took a left at Pluto. And listen, if any of your friggin' Newburyport listeners, they tend to be high end up here, and they're going to go, well, the physics of Pluto. No, obviously, you're going to take a left at either Saturn, Jupiter, or Uranus, which have enough gravitational pull to sling you at high speed out into the beyond the solar system.
Yeah.
But Pluto is a much gentler word, so that's called artistic license.
Yes.
Get off my case.
You want to put an end to that before it starts.
That's right. Some physics slug. Well, they'd never use Pluto because it doesn't have the gravitational mass to slingshot it. Go away.
Do you remember where you wrote those lyrics? Is it a porch somewhere? Is there do you have a spot?
Interesting. I do remember. I was living in Weston at the time, and I was at my piano, and I was making a new record, and I had that. I had those lyrics, that thought. And
Do a lot of writing on the piano?
yeah, I play. I play a lot of piano these days, and I do that because by the time I'm 80, I do not want to stand up and play a guitar.
Yeah.
I want to sit at a piano, and I want to do matinee shows. Many years ago, the great pianist Vladimir Horowitz, at the end of his career, he would only do matinees, 3 o'clock on Sundays. And I just said, that's exactly what I'm going to do. My audience tends to be my contemporaries. Don't you want a young audience? No, I don't want a young audience.
I will tell you, there's something to. The world has changed a little bit. Not everybody's working 9 to 5 hours anymore.
Yeah.
Not everybody goes to the office and hits the same traffic anymore.
Yeah.
I know this because I work crazy hours. And I've thought, if you're a sports fan, they play all these baseball games at night. It's like put some games on in the day for the kids and stuff. Like come home from school and watch it. Like don't. And I guess ratings don't lie. It's all about money, and that's what all these execs are looking for. But put stuff in the daytime more. Everything doesn't have to be prime time, and prime time isn't what it used to be in the 70s and the 80s.
Yes.
I don't know. It's always been a thought of mine. It's like I know more people my age. I'm 37 that have a lot of afternoons and are not up that didn't watch any of the NBA Finals games until last night because they're too late.
Well, speaking for my sport-owning friends,
sure.
The problem becomes to torque up an afternoon game means that a staff has to be scheduled for that.
Yes, that's true, yeah.
The infrastructure of bureaucracy is very difficult to move around.
Yeah.
It's not impossible. We certainly discovered during COVID that human beings are remarkably flexible.
Yeah.
That notwithstanding, people like patterns.
Yeah.
They like routines. And you and I are in the business of breaking people's routines
Yes.
periodically.
I get along with musicians very well.
Yeah, and, but that's but that's the life we chose.
Yeah.
No, the executives of the media outlets that you associate with, they let you have crazy hours because they don't want to have them.
Yeah.
I want to go to work at 10, knock off at 4,
Yeah.
and collect a reasonable salary.
That phrasing you just used just gave me deja vu, because when I was coming up as a young writer in the news business, my first boss was, we were talking about, I think it was a Christmas schedule we were talking about, and some newcomer, somebody probably my age at the time, young, had said to me, man, I can't believe this. I'm working Christmas. Like I did, somebody has to. You're kind of the new person. It's kind of how you pay your dues. And I didn't think that was a possibility. I got to talk to the boss about this.
Yeah.
And he comes back and what did the boss say? And says it was a career choice.
Yeah. Nobody's forcing you to do this.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you bring other things to the career choice, for instance, if you're so stunningly good-looking and or talented that they can't afford to lose you, then they go, you don't want to work Christmas? Good, you're off.
I never found myself in that boat.
No, nor did I. And so what's fascinating is the question is always, what service can we be? Because I heard you speak money earlier. And money, it's not, when people say it's all about the money, and the answer is really not. It's all about being of service to the maximum quantity of people. How you keep score, money is a reservoir that you can use. For instance, if you're a media outlet, they can use, and they collect extra money, they can buy better microphones. They can put better broadcasting equipment. They can be of better service.
Yeah.
Now, not often they're not. Often they take it for themselves and waste it amongst the ne'er-do-well children of the people who own it.
Yeah.
But eventually that drives you out of business.
Yeah.
Service. How can we, as you heard me opine earlier, what I say to my students is not can you be seen, but can you see? Parents drop college kids off to me at the age of 19 because they've been dipping them in all of these little marinades in the desperate hope that I will find them interesting, which I never will. There's no such thing as an interesting 19-year-old unless they're your kid.
Not one.
Not one. So you have the, I mean, statistically there are going to be a couple, but trust me, it's not. If it's 0.1%, it's not showing up at your house. Anyhow, what I'm interested in, what I'm looking for, is not interesting children, but interested. Can they see? Can they take in?
Yep.
Can they absorb and let it percolate around in that brain? And God, when I see those kids in my class, I go, this is going to be so great. This kid's going to kick my ass all semester long. I can't wait.
Ah, look into the professor side of you. There we go. Do you genuinely love the teaching?
I love vocalizing for others observation. And in doing so, provoking conversation as to whether my observation is accurate or not. Liv, I don't agree with you. I don't think it works that way. Great. Let it be joined. And, yeah.
That gets you thinking about a song right there?
Yeah, it did.
Livingston Taylor in the house here, live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive.
So I was listening to an oldies station, and I heard this song that I really loved as a kid, written by Carole King and Jerry Goffin. And I'll tell you, they're great technical songwriters. So I disassembled this song and learned to play it, and it'll be familiar to virtually all of your older listeners. Don't worry, there's not going to be a kid in here anyhow. So what the heck? It says, my tears are falling 'cause you've taken her away. Although it really hurts me so, there's something that I've gotta say. Take good care of my baby. Don't ever make her blue. Just tell her that you love her and that you're thinking of her in everything you say and do. Oh, take good care of my baby. Don't ever make her cry. Just let your love surround her. Paint rainbows all around her. Don't let her see a cloudy sky. Once upon a time, that little girl was mine. If I'd been true, well, I know she'd never be with you. So take good care of my baby. Be just as kind as you can be. And if you should discover that you don't really love her, just send my baby back home to me.
Livingston Taylor, very nice.
How beautiful is that?
Oh,
huh?
man, it
But I
really
mean,
is.
just the assembly of the song.
Yes.
The intro, my tears are falling because you've taken her away. Although it really hurts me so, there's something that I've got to say. Just now you're in context. So Carole King and Jerry Goffin gave you a context. And so they do a couple of verses of Take Good Care of My Baby, the request,
Yep.
and what the singer is requesting of this other person. But then in the bridge, they tell you how this happened, and the singer's now voicing contrition.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, that little girl was mine. If I'd been true, I know she'd never be with you. It just breaks my heart. It makes me cry like a baby. So good. God, I love contrition.
That is great.
And then you be just as kind as you can be. And if you discover you don't really love her, send her home to me. It's so simple. It's so easy, and by the way, I learned that song, and then to learn how to play that song takes me months. That guitar part, trust me, there are no unthought through points on any of this.
I was going to say, you make it look effortless.
Yeah, but that's because it is effortless.
Yeah.
And it is effortless because I've practiced it
Worked
to
my ass
death.
off.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
no sloppy notes. You guitar players out there, you know, don't you? If you can't play it clean,
Yeah.
don't play it.
Does it drive you crazy when you see it?
I understand the panic that goes into it.
Yeah.
I understand the lack of awareness. And so when I enunciate lyrics, for instance, they're very clear.
So clear, yeah.
Yeah, they're clear as a bell. And when I speak a lyric, when I'm singing a lyric in a song, I'm expecting the lyric to come out of my mouth, and I watch it go not only to the listener, but I actually watch the lyric and the melody and the guitar part hit the tympanic membrane of the middle ear. It goes all the way in.
Yeah.
I do not release it until it's made your tympanic membrane vibrate.
You can see it and feel it.
I can see it and feel it.
Yeah.
I don't have any choice what you do with it then.
Yeah.
But I have a responsibility to deliver it to you as clear as a bell.
Lovely. That's a lovely way of putting it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can think about that as you're just, you know, as you're speaking to your audience. The idea that it's going all the way to the tympanic membrane. Wow.
Wow, it's right.
Yeah. But, yeah.
That's absolutely. Livingston Taylor in the house here, live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Should also say thank you to our team, Maeve Power, who does all the hard work here, really. And
Love Maeve.
She's great, isn't she?
Oh gosh, yeah. You know, she's 25 by 25, 26, a whole future. You're only mild. You're halfway through the bottle.
I've seen
what
some
I'm drinking
things.
now is 95% spent. I'm at the end of that Pepsi.
Let me tell you. See, I come in. I tell people all the time. I come in here. I talk to interesting people. Get to hear amazing songs, and I leave it to her, and she makes it look and sound great. So thank you, Maeve.
Excellent.
Sarah Hayden, the boss. Ryan Rothberg, Maya Gassman, all in the house today. Our small but mighty team here in Newburyport. Thank you. Let me throw a name at you because we do have a lot of. Younger, I get a lot of high school kids in here that are making news, and you know, you mentioned Maeve's age, but we also have a lot of younger kids come in, and there's one artist in the world that seems everybody loves that is younger than me, even older than me, but everybody younger than me. And I'm just curious, you mentioned the art of songwriting and Carole King and Taylor Swift.
Well, Taylor Swift is a product of, to me, and this is just the world according to Livingston.
Sure. Yeah.
So take it no further than that. To me, there have been two major shifts. The first shift came in popular music, I'm speaking now.
Yep.
The first shift came in 1960 with the advent of multi-track recording. So what happened is that before 1960, Frank Sinatra or Ella Fitzgerald would be doing a recording session, and say it's 1957, and there were 75 people in that studio. It was a big room. There were a lot of people, and every one of them had to do their job well at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday, which is when the downbeat of the session was. And so that instituted a ferocious discipline into recording. Once you had multi-track recording, now you could have all of these disciplined people who had been fired in that pre-60 crucible. And you could bring them in, and you could bring in guys like me, out of control, crazy. I could never have had the discipline to be in with 70 other people. But now you could expand this, and I'll be getting to Taylor Swift in a second. You could expand what was marketable with the backdrop of people who really knew what they were doing. And that produced, I don't have to tell you or your listeners what that produced. Oh, Steely Dan, the Beach Boys, Stevie Wonder, the Beatles, the Rolling. The list is just. It was to this day.
Yeah.
It was the formula that absolutely exploded the music. Then something happened in 1981, early 80s, and that was MTV.
Ah, yes.
And so MTV started up in the 80s, and video became a component of marketing. And so focused lyrics became less important. So no longer did you have the band singing, Virgil Caine is my name and I rode on the Danville train till Stonewall's cavalry came and tore up the tracks again. In the winter of '65, we were hungry, just barely alive. Took the train to Richmond, it fell. It was a time I remember oh so well. The night they drove old Dixie down. And it's so vivid and harsh and clear and bright, and the words stabbed through your brain.
Yeah.
It's so good. And then you start getting videos, and the music, not only did it not encourage lyric content, in fact, it discouraged it, because to make a video with lyric content required, so if you had a great pop hit like Stacy's Mom has got it going on.
Yeah.
Great pop record, but if you were going to do a video of that, in the day, you would have had $300,000-$500,000 to shoot that video. It would be massively, had to storyboard the whole thing. You got to cast the whole thing. You got to get Stacy's mom. It's got to be a little older, but smoking hot. And you need all of this stuff, and you got to put it.
Yeah.
I have a much better idea. Why don't we simply allow the music to be a background for the personality. And certainly Michael Jackson did that with his amazing videos, but he had Quincy Jones and the Wrecking Crew, Los Angeles session men, people working for him. He was coming out of the old school and used the video to blow it wide open with his with dancing and looks. And then progressively, the music didn't. It made less and less sense to have it focused and concentrated. So let's get to Taylor Swift. Listen, she is wonderful. Congratulations. She was able not only to build that career, her father is a money manager and stuff. This is not, I'm working in the coal mines in Kentucky. And no, this is her mother's marketing. Her father's a money manager. This is a very, very knowledgeable and sophisticated operation. Good for them. And I love seeing Taylor Swift. I couldn't. Her songs, my brain is all filled with Stevie Wonder going, just enough for the city, a boy is born in hard time, Mississippi. I'm sorry. Steely Dan singing Deacon Blue. Call Alabama the Crimson Tide.
You're hearing all these.
Call me Deacon Blue. It's so raw and just on fire. And so so Taylor is able to, and I can't imagine that she would protest that she's writing beyond Linda Ronstadt, and if you give me weed, whites, and wine, and show me a sign, I'll be willing. Come on, that 60s Motown into 70s into 80s, early 80s, it was some ferocious.
It was. Wow. Yeah, it's funny, all those songs that pop into your head when we talk about this, isn't it? Those soundtracks.
Well, you're listening to them too.
Yeah.
I want you to know that my contemporaries, we never listen to the oldies. Because every friggin' week, beep, 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 a dump truck showed up and dumped on our heads.
So true.
A stunning
Yeah.
array of new music that had been made in that combination of multi-track recording, so you could baby the crazy ones till they were productive, and the industry infrastructure that had been fired in the crucible of pre-1960, pre-multi-track recording.
Livingston Taylor in the house. One thing I've always wanted to ask you, I saved it till the end because it's, I'm comfortable with you now. Was ever a moment over the years where you're there and you tell James Taylor, you know what, I would have done this, something different, or maybe something different song?
We discuss we discuss our careers all the time. He has suggestion for me. I have suggestion for him. It's been we're
healthy.
Absolutely. And James Taylor, I love it when I see people who look at me and they go, poor Livingston, James got the brass ring and Livingston's hanging around in a little radio studio in Newburyport. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah.
I have a career, and my career, because of James Taylor, Livingston Taylor, is absolutely free. Think about this.
Yeah.
To observe everything and not be seen. Anonymity is so perfect. I love what T.S. Eliot said. A little fame is wonderful. And so I have a little fame. I can pull out the James Taylor card. I can pull out other cards. I assure you, as you move through your 70s, your ability to, the value of those cards diminishes as your ripple gets to the ripple that your stone dropping in the pond made. I thought it was just going to get to the edge of the pond. Now I realize that before it gets there, it's going to wander in the reeds. So
it must be fun for you guys though to look back and just I don't know, have a cup of coffee on a porch someday and just go. I mean, you joke about it being a ripple, but it's an impact on this state, on this region, on this country that so few, such a small percentage get to make.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. And I'm delighted.
I mean, those songs.
And I know, but the fact is that there are only 4 things that people need for survival: food, water, oxygen, and shelter. And I include clothes in the word shelter. And so once those are supplied, everything else is done in the presence of 2 imperatives. That is a reproductive imperative. Who am I going to mate with? And how am I going to attract their attention? And secondly, after you successfully mate, what tribal structure am I going to go into where I can protect my offspring and my family? And so listen, I'm delighted that people hear my music and are comforted by it and are set at ease and that their souls are set at rest. And I really see myself very much as a preacher, as that type of character. And I'm delighted to be an artist and to write lyrics like I get to write.
Yeah.
And I'm a good lyricist, and I know that.
Yes, you are.
That said, wait a second, we're getting the sign. What's the sign?
We're
Let's
close.
see.
I got it. We're close.
What? Close up is, oh yeah, wrap up.
See, they're good. I told
The
you.
wrap up sign. Don't worry.
They won't let me get away with anything out there.
Well, you and I can burn through a lot of time. That notwithstanding, to me, there are very few things that come anywhere close to being more important than surviving and tribal identity. And certainly way down on the list are Livingston Taylor, James Taylor songs. That notwithstanding, it's nice to have made some nice art, but it's not a massive wave. The Theory of Special Relativity, Albert Einstein, 1905, that's a major wave. October 16th, 1945, Los Alamos, New Mexico, and the explosion of the first plutonium bomb out of the Manhattan Project. That is monumental stuff for the but it doesn't mean that I haven't been delighted to be to throw my own pebbles in the pond. And but major ripple, nah. Have I been glad to be a participant? You bet, and I'm going to keep doing it.
There's a whole lot of people in Newburyport and well beyond who are very glad that you've done that.
I appreciate that.
Livingston Taylor, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you for an
The
afternoon.
pleasure is mine. Really nice interview. I do a lot of these, and yours is really good.
Is that like the City Winery thing?
What?
It's the latest one. They make them love you.
I don't know. We'll see where your insecurity goes. You decide. How sincere did I sound?
You sounded sincere. Thank you. It's been a pleasure meeting and hanging out with you.
Indeed.
Could I ask you to play us out with a little something?
Yeah, we can play. Let's play us out.
Yeah, thank you so much.
How would that be? Because
Livingston.
I will simply say,
Livingston Taylor, what a pleasure this has been. Thanks again to our team live at Drew's house, Joppa Afternoon Drive. Thank you.
life is good. Spring is in the air. You got $2 in your pocket, a little bit of Brill cream in your hair. Oh, life is good when you're proud of what you do. Now giving your all to others and it all comes back to you. Some guys are handsome and they make friends all the time. They always got a buddy and they always feel fine. Others take the back seat, watch the world go by, living life alone, quietly and shy. But when love strikes and fires start to burn, those lonely years melt away. Finally it's your turn and you say, life is good. Winter's blowing cold and love is forever, and it never will grow old. Life is good and you're proud of what you do. Give your all to others. Come on now, try. Listen very closely to every laugh and sigh. Maybe there's a reason for all we do, giving your all to others, and it all comes back to